Hello, Scare Factor followers. This is Tyler.
This is Nora.
And welcome to the ScareFactor.com, the podcast. Season 2. This is our first episode in a while, actually, since, I think, before last haunt season. Is that right?
I think the last one we did was in September or maybe even August.
Yeah. So, sorry about not getting very many podcasts out during the Halloween season. Obviously, we were a little busy with our reviews and stuff. And I'll go ahead and apologize in advance for the road noise. We are recording this in the car, heading down the road here, so apologies for that. But
we're kind of
anyway,
doing a test run of the road noise as we spend a crap ton of time in the car.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can record in the car, we can talk to you guys a lot more.
Absolutely. So we got some new microphones here we're testing out, got a new recorder, so it should be pretty good. Let us know, please shoot us a message if this is all right with you guys, and we'll keep on going. But here for the first episode of Season 2, we just wanted to kind of welcome everybody back and do a little bit of a summary of what happened last year during haunt season, and then what we are foreseeing for this upcoming year and what you guys are able to look forward to here with the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So last haunt season was really, really successful. We had some really good website numbers as far as traffic and all that stuff. We got, I think, not quite 200 reviews. I think it's like 160 something reviews published, which is absolutely amazing. Shout out to all the teams that helped us out with that. Also last year we did a really big push on the YouTube channel. Started seeing a lot of really good success with that, so thank you all, our listeners and watchers, for checking out our YouTube videos. If you're not already yet, please do go on over to the YouTube channel and subscribe. We're constantly focusing on that here during the off season. We're making a really big push for that, and we'll get into that here in just a few minutes, what our focus is during the off season. But yeah, last haunt season did really good. Saw some really great haunts, and yeah,
we saw some new to us haunts.
Yeah, we did go to some new haunts.
At the beginning of the season, when we work on our calendar, we had probably about 5 of our normal haunts that we visit every year because they're so close to us. We had about 5 of them that were not going to be open for various reasons last year. So that allowed us to basically add 5 new haunts, and it freed up a whole weekend. So we were able to take 2 journeys up to Michigan, which we do have a team in Michigan, but we went kind of away from their normal coverage area, and they weren't reviewing last year. So we went up there and visited a few places we've never been. And then in the middle of haunt season, we had a haunt owner reach out to us and recommend that we stop everything we were doing to go take a visit to Eloise Asylum, also in Michigan. So we were able to take his advice towards the end of season, and we are absolutely ecstatic that we did that because it was one of the best haunts we've ever seen, and it was their first year open. So we'll probably get into more detail on actual Eloise here in a little bit, but
we do have a video of our recap of Eloise, so
yes, we do.
Definitely check that out on the YouTube channel. It kind of shows you a little bit of the outside of the building and a few little sneak peeks right around the entrance and stuff. But at the time we were going through, they had a pretty strict no filming policy. So that's why we weren't able to get like a walkthrough or anything. But it was a super, super cool place. Never seen quite that much detail on like an asylum type of haunt. And of course the place actually used to be an asylum. But they did such a good job of replicating the way the inside of the house looked and going along with the rest of the actual man-made haunt that we literally could not tell the difference.
No, we thought that it was original, like a lot of it was original, and then when we spoke with some of the builders afterwards, they were like, no, we had to tear out everything and completely rebuild that. And we were like, holy shit.
You've got trap doors in a bunch of places. You actually do go through one of the old elevator shafts and you can look up and down, and so that's like actually legit. But just everything that they did to blend it all together and make it look as realistic and authentic as possible. I can't speak highly of it enough. If you get a chance to go up to Eloise this year, definitely do it. Definitely one of our must-see haunts, and we are looking forward to going back there, hopefully again this season, just for a follow-up and maybe talk to some of the guys and see if they'll let us get a little bit more video coverage for you.
Yeah. So our adventures mainly consisted of visiting haunts in Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky.
Just Nora and I.
Yeah, yeah, just our team, Team Zombillies. And in Ohio, we usually just hit Dent Schoolhouse, and the Middleton Haunted Trail, as we have about 4 other teams that go in and out of Ohio, so we don't really have a lot of coverage there ourselves, but the review site obviously got quite a few reviews in on Ohio.
Middletown Trail is at Land of Illusion.
Yes.
Illusion, for those of you that don't know. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we did do a full walkthrough of that one.
Yes.
And then it was funny because their Haunted Scream Park has multiple attractions, and they let us film the Haunted Trail, and then someone else caught word that we were filming the Haunted Trail, so then they asked us to also film Killer Clowns, so that one's out there as well.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, I would say that the season was very successful. The haunts seem to have had a very successful season. Something that they all started to notice more so this year than in previous seasons was that customers are kind of wanting to stick around longer. So although, they get there and they wait in their line, whether it be time tickets or not, once they get through the attraction, it's like they're sticking around looking for other things to do.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a haunt owner out there and you're listening to this, maybe, come up with some different activities or other things that they could do to keep them around on the property longer, because we were hearing that a lot this year.
And if you guys are listening to us that are haunt goers, let us know what your thoughts are on that. Like, whenever you go to a haunted house, are you looking to make a night of it? Or are you just hoping to get in and out in an hour and then get on with your night and go do something else? Let us know.
Yeah, definitely.
So after haunt season, we got to scratching our heads a little bit, and we're like, so what can we do to keep this YouTube thing going on throughout the rest of the year? And not just YouTube, but actually the website itself. And threw a lot of different topics around, and what we decided to kind of delve into is actually paranormal stuff. So Nora's been real into ghost hunting and stuff
for a very long time.
Quite a while.
Longer than I've been visiting haunted houses.
Absolutely. We've always been going to local cemeteries and that sort of thing. And so that's always been fun. But we decided to actually open up a new directory on the website, and we're calling it the Ghost Directory. That's actually available now if you're listening to this. You just one of the top menu options on the website. It's just called Find Ghosts.
We kept it simple.
Kept it simple, yep. And it looks very similar to the Haunt Directory, but this one will only show you places where you can actually go and book a tour or a ghost hunt or something like that. And it's totally, open to the public. Obviously, you have to make a reservation, something like that, but you can get admission into these places legally without trespassing.
Yeah, we didn't want to include all the places that we didn't really know if you were supposed to be there or not, and because we're a business and we're pushing people to go to these places, we're kind of trying to keep it to places that do seem to offer tours to the public and not just a bunch of cemeteries and stuff that are cool to go to, but we don't want you there on our account, or
right.
We don't want to send you there and you get run off by the police or arrested. So
you're not blaming us for getting trespassed. Nope.
Yeah, so to go along with that, we've been doing some full paranormal overnight investigations.
Mm-hmm.
We've been to several locations. For our YouTube channel, we're doing season 1. It's Haunting with Haunters.
That's what we're calling it.
So far, every place that we go, we try to take a few haunters with us, or we've actually already investigated 2 actual haunted houses.
Mm-hmm.
Hysterium Haunted Asylum and Necropolis.
Haunted attractions, yeah.
Yep.
Haunted attractions.
Yes, and at this time, Hysterium is already live on YouTube, and Necropolis is in the works, so it should be up in the next few weeks.
Yes, those have been real fun. We've teamed up with actually a couple of other haunt groups. One of them is called Afterlife Paranormal, and that's Bill and Whitney. They run Horror Hike and Horror House. And the other group is Northeast Indiana Paranormal, and that is Jeff and some of the other guys from Hysterium Haunted Asylum. So that's been really cool to meet up with those guys and kind of learn from them a little bit, share the investigations with them, and Jeff's a freaking hoot now.
Yeah, if you watch our most recent video of Stillwell Manor from last weekend, you'll get
you'll get the full Jeff experience.
Yeah, Jeff is funny. We almost pissed ourselves all the way through there, and you'll see why.
Oh my gosh! So the Stillwell video, that one is just Stillwell opening up for kind of a mix between Valentine's Day and St. Patrick's Day, and that was wow. Yeah, definitely a super, super hilarious experience.
Yeah, they warned us at the door. This isn't all about scares. It's all about love going wrong. And we're like, okay, we're all for it, whatever. And we were just laughing, and we got scared too.
Oh yeah.
But we did so much laughing through there. It was a great time. So great that we actually ended up going through twice. So, but that brings us to the next thing that we're doing, during the off season, which is a lot more off season haunt coverage.
Mm-hmm.
So back in Valentine's Day, we went to some Valentine's Day haunts. At the end of July, January, we did a New Year's Eve haunt, which was actually down at Ruby Falls,
Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Mm-hmm. And that video is also live on YouTube.
That's the haunt name was Dread Hollow.
Yes.
And they used to be located at Ruby Falls Cavern.
Mm-hmm.
They used to set up a haunt inside of the actual cave, which of course we had to go to Ruby Falls and check it out while we were there. Beautiful place. Highly recommend it while you're down there. But yeah, now they're off in their own kind of a strip mall type of building, but they've done a really good job transforming that into their little shanty town type of attraction. So very, very cool, and they did do a great job of kind of revamping that into the New Year's theme. Super excited we got to go down there. We'd been talking with them for a while, and we finally got the chance to meet the folks down there. Super cool people. If you're ever down in kind of southeastern Tennessee, definitely check out Dread Hollow.
Yes.
So that brings us to more of the activities that we've got going on here more recently, in which has been preparing for Transworld, because this is March 9th, I think is what today is. So Transworld is just around the corner. We're getting all ready for that. And one of the things that we're really excited about is the calendars that we made. And this was originally a collaboration with the Haunted Attraction Association. We took over their previous task of creating calendars for all the HAA members, and the calendar has dates and locations of various conventions that are located across the country. So we made the nice little calendar. Those are in print as we speak, and we will be bringing those to Transworld with us. So if you are an HAA member, that's included with your membership. And actually, we are going to be giving some to hand out at the Haunted Attraction Network booth as well, which is located right next to the Haunted Attraction Association booth. And because we are reporters for HAN, we thought we'd pass them out there as well. So definitely head over to the Haunted Attraction Association booth and the Haunted Attraction Network booth. And if you sign up for either one, the HAE, there's a membership fee involved, and with HAN, I believe there is no fee. They just ask for an email so that you can get their newsletter. So if you sign up for their newsletter, we're going to throw in a calendar for you.
It's an awesome calendar too.
Absolutely. And speaking of Haunted Attraction Network, definitely check out their podcast as well. If you go back into some of last season's archives, you'll see some haunt trip reports from us where we went through and recorded our experiences at the haunts in audio form for you, so you can kind of catch up on some of what we're doing if you don't have time to read our reviews necessarily, but you can listen to us in the car like you are now. You can also listen to some of our haunt experiences on Philip's channel.
So yes, this is March, and we are still working on we basically call it the year-round haunt directory page, which consists of any of the haunted houses that any of us are able to find that are open during the off season or year round. So you can go to that page on our website, and there's going to be an interactive map at the top, just like with all of our other directory pages. And then you can kind of see if there's any little dots near where you are or where you're willing to travel, because more and more haunts every year are starting to open for these off-season events. I know we've got a pretty big list for St. Patrick's Day, and then we're working on a pretty big list for Easter. So there's nothing scarier than that rabbit Easter bunny.
That motherfucker.
Yeah.
So the easiest way to find that year-round page is, I think there's a link on the homepage of the website, but you can also scroll all the way to the bottom into the footer down there, and there's a menu option down there that says year-round haunts, and you can find it from there.
Yeah, we have so many tabs on our website that we try to keep it mobile friendly, and there's so many that we can't put in the top, so they're all at the bottom. So if you're ever looking for something, just feel free to ask us, because more than likely it's there. It just might be a little bit more hidden than it should be.
Than we'd like.
Yeah. that brings us to our directory. We are in the process now of updating our haunt directory. We're not sure if you're aware, but we have about 2,400 haunted houses listed on our website, including home haunts, farm haunts, anything that people say is a haunted house, haunted attraction, boo barn, you name it. And what we do is every year we start at Alabama and work our way through the alphabet, and one or two of us updates every single haunt, which consists of opening their page, opening all their social medias, opening their website, checking all of that information, and verifying that their address is correct. And we've been doing this since January, and we are currently only down to California.
Starting with the A's, we're only to C.
So hopefully we get it done this year. We generally do try to have the majority of it done by Transworld, but we have so much stuff going on right now that, we'll definitely try to have it done by haunt season. But really, if you do it closer to haunt season, that's when everybody's calendars are out, and that's really the only way we can get everybody's dates is if we're manually on their website and we get them. So when we do the directory updates, like for Alabama is always in January, sometimes those haunts end up being outdated or they don't have calendars because we don't have time to go back to those. So maybe if we end up doing some closer to season this year, they will be at least more accurate and have some more information on them.
Yeah, hopefully so.
As you will notice, we don't have Tiffany and Brian with us today. We just decided to test this equipment in the car, but they will be joining us on the upcoming podcasts.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're on the, we had, Google Maps sends us like updates in our email, once a month or something like that. And for the month of February, we had driven to 70 different locations. And that's while it was tracking us. I don't know if it was tracking us all the time. So that's just in February.
Yeah.
So imagine during haunt season, we spend hours in the car, literally. So hopefully it'll work out.
I think so.
And since this is our first episode, please be sure to send us any episode suggestions for topics that you have. You can either comment on this episode on Facebook, you can email us at thescarefactor@gmail.com, or you can just send out a website directory form, the contact form on our website under Contact Us, or you can even message me and Tyler privately, and we will take your ideas into consideration.
All of those methods come straight to our phones. We get notified of every message we get. So, and even though we do have kind of a semi-planned out roster for the year, if you've got an idea that's more interesting, that can very easily knock out one of our existing
if you've got any paranormal places you would like to see us go to, or any specific haunted houses that you would like to see one of our teams cover, please let us know.
Do you want to listen to audio versions of our investigations? Do you want to hear us talking about them like after we leave or anything like that? Let us know.
Yeah, we've definitely thought about doing podcast episodes after we leave a full overnight paranormal investigation.
Yeah.
Because that's when all that information's fresh in our mind too. Because so far we've been to like six places this year, I think.
5 or 6, yeah.
5 or 6, and every single one of them has had a variety of activity.
So the first place we investigated was Hysterium, and that one was kind of cool. And for most of the investigations we've been on, Bill and Whitney with Afterlife Paranormal have been coming with us. And Whitney is kind of a growing or a learning medium, we think. So she's exploring that and trying to learn how to harness some of the abilities that she has, we think.
She can sometimes hear and feel things that the rest of us don't,
Yeah.
but they totally make sense. So like if you watch our Hysterium video, you'll see that the staff members do an interview with Tyler before Bill and Whitney arrive. And they tell us of 2 significant experiences that happened in Hysterium to previous actors or themselves. And Whitney was able to do a walkthrough of the haunt without knowing this information, and she was able to pick up on both of them, like, directly. So it kind of freaked out the actors that were there with us because she picked up on that. So yes, we have Whitney that goes with us. Bill is a bit more of a skeptic.
He's a lot more of a skeptic.
Yeah.
But he still gets freaked out because, like, he's afraid of the dark and stuff. He won't go, like, fix cameras or look at equipment by himself.
Mm-hmm. And then we've taken Jeff has, come along with us several times. He'll be with us this coming Saturday at the Asher Walton House in Indiana. But he's a hoot. He's hilarious. He's just a very funny individual. And then, of course, you got me, who I'm a big ghost believer, but I also believe that many things can be mistaken as paranormal activity. So I have a bit of a skeptic side, but not as much probably as anybody else. Like, I'm probably more gullible than the whole group. And then Tyler does all of our video editing. He does all of our main filming for the investigations. And I think Tyler is a mix between skeptic and not, because throughout his life, he's only had like one major paranormal experience so far.
I've seen a few things that, you'll catch something moving out of the corner of your eye, and I was just like, what? And I'd kind of brush it off. But then I really took a big lean towards believing when we were at Waverly for Monster Bash a couple years ago down in Louisville. And I was turned around away from the group, taking a night sight photo with my phone, so it was long exposure, so I had to sit there really still for several seconds. And while that photo was taking, somebody came up to my left ear and whispered, "I apologize for the sound of my illness." So I was like, oh, that's okay, you don't have to apologize. And I looked over next to me, and there wasn't nobody there except for Nora. And I know she don't sound like that. So I asked her, I said, who was just standing here next to me? And she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, somebody was just standing here next to me.
Yeah, so after that, I'm like, Tyler, does that mean we can come investigate Waverly? And he's like, yeah, maybe.
And I'm like, well, yeah.
And that's kind of where that started. Like, I'm like, what? We can go ghost hunting now? Because once something like that happens to you, it's different. Because, like, for me, I've seen things and been around people when they've experienced things, and it's always been very it's very drawing to me because it's so interesting and it's fun. But for those that don't really have experiences, they don't really, not everybody, but most of them have like no reason to go.
It's harder
do
for
this
them
stuff.
to wrap their minds around it. Yeah.
Well, and they just think, what, we're gonna go sit in a cemetery for 6 hours? Like, that sounds extremely boring. And sometimes it is boring, but you kind of have to have, that drive for it. And I think just that experience at Waverly made Tyler go, now wait a minute.
Yeah.
There might be something out there that we can interact with that isn't normal. So yes, we've been interacting with things for sure. We'll probably for sure do several podcasts at least to highlight everything we've experienced verbally before haunt season. So then that way, those of you that are like that stuff can listen to us. But I think other than that, though, we've basically covered.
Well, we talked about a little bit there at Hysterium. Nora and the girls there had something run up on them in the claustrophobic tunnel. They heard footsteps. You can hear it in the video, but unfortunately nobody was facing that direction
with the camera.
Happened.
Yeah,
but
but
you can definitely hear it
through the spirit box. It kept telling us to go to the hallway, and we were like, what hallway? Because at the haunt, they have several, main hallways inside the haunt. And the actors were telling us that what they dubbed as Green Mile Hallway was the most active. So we're like, well, let's go to Green Mile Hallway, and this is where this happened. And right before that, somebody was listening to the spirit box, which is a radio that scans radio frequencies, and spirits are able to manipulate those frequencies so that you can hear bits and pieces of what they're saying to you, as long as they're speaking clearly and, not in English, because we can't understand any other languages, because sometimes we think they do speak in Spanish and other things. But this spirit box, which we put noise canceling headphones on with it, so when you're listening to the scanning, you repeat what you say, but you can't hear what everybody in the room's saying. So then that way, if Tyler says, what's my name, and it says Tyler, we know that person didn't hear Tyler say that, so that they're not manipulating it themselves. And so someone was listening to that spirit box, and we told them to come to the hallway because we were there where they asked us to come, and they said, I'm coming. Well, that's when that thing ran up on us in the hallway. So it even told us that it was coming, but I just was standing there in the complete dark, which I'm also afraid of the dark, in this claustrophobic hallway it's the airbag hallway, but they had the air deflated, so the bags were just kind of laying on the floor where you could run through there and they would move. And we heard this thing just run all the way down that hallway and stop right before it got to us, and it freaked us out pretty good. So we just weren't expecting that.
And then the next investigation after that was the Bell Mansion. And this place was brand new as far as being open to paranormal tours. So the paranormal group, well, the leader of a paranormal group met the daughter of the people that owned it, had just bought the building. And prior to them getting it, they were the only team to have investigated there. Well, after they got it, they were the only team. Then they opened it up, and then we were the first.
We were technically the first overnight that they had besides themselves. So we were very excited to be, one of the first groups there. But
prior to that, it was a funeral home for 93 years, something like that. So it's had a lot of bodies moving in and out of there. Really huge place made out of limestone block. It's wonderful looking. And then before that, it was owned by a couple of families, the Nobles and, of course, the Bells. And we believe we made contact with Mr. Noble up in the poker room. And pretty sure we actually played poker with him. Using a REM pod for him to communicate with us. So definitely check out that Bell Mansion video and let us know what you thought about that, because that was pretty cool. It's either that or we figured out a way to play poker with a box. So
a box that lights up and makes noise.
Right.
We also had the SLS camera, which is a structured light sensor camera that basically takes things that look humanistic and turns them into a stick figure on the camera. But we use this like in a hallway where we know people aren't standing typically. Yeah. Or it can like be looking at a person, and then if you see two figures, only one of them's a person, so it's picking up something else. Well, at Bell Mansion, it picks up, so the K2 meter was going off, and Jeff had it in his hand, and Jeff was like, I feel like something's over here. And so Tyler took the SLS camera over there, and while he was looking through the SLS camera, which you'll see in the video, something looks like it actually touches Jeff at the same time that he says, something just touched my arm. And it was super cool because the timing was perfect, and you can see it clear as day. So that was also a really big highlight of that trip. And then after Bell Mansion, we decided to do a paranormal investigation at Necropolis Underground in Indianapolis, Indiana. A lot of their actors and management were telling us of things that had happened there with paranormal activity. Like, they've had instances where some select actors were getting so scared in their own scenes that they were refusing to work them. And they even showed us a picture of this very strange, humanistic-looking black figure standing in the actor's scene with them one night. He sent it to management and said, this is why I'm not going back into my scene. And they were kind of agreeing, like, yeah, we don't blame you. That's crazy looking. So we went and did Necropolis, and it is such a huge building. That night, it was mostly just me, Tyler, Bill, and Whitney. And we had Cameron and Sarah that work at Necropolis there with us for a while, but eventually they left that building to ourselves. So it was a lot to cover. We did get some very cool stuff, video coming soon, but we would love to go back sometime and kind of move around a little bit more, or maybe take a larger group, just because the building is so huge.
Oh, yeah.
And it's really underground, so it just makes it a very cool place, a perfect location for a haunted house. And they're one of the haunts that'll be open for Easter and some other stuff, I think. So, but after Necropolis, we were going to an off-season event at Abattoir Haunted Attraction over in Vincennes, Indiana. And we wanted to go test out some paranormal equipment there. So we ended up conversing with the owner of Abattoir, who had just purchased what is known as the Beer House Mansion.
It's Bierhaus.
In Vincennes, which is currently an apartment building and will be an expanded apartment building. But at this time, he didn't have all of his apartments filled, and word on the street in their town is that building has always been pretty haunted. So while we were there, we were able to go after the haunt closed and investigate Beer House, which I think we did about a 6-hour investigation, which normally we do 8 or more. But we did have time to investigate all of the empty areas there, and we got some really cool Ovilus communication going that made complete sense with the building. I'm pretty sure that the owner at the beginning was very skeptical about it, or because he says his personal house is haunted, but he just kind of ignores it. But I think that some of our equipment was kind of getting him a lot more interested in what was going on. It seemed that way. So that was pretty cool for us. And then we were able to take his daughter with us, who watches ghost hunting shows on a daily basis but had never been. So she got to go with us, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, thank you guys so much. You just like made her night."
Mm-hmm.
So we were very excited about that.
Now, one real quick disclaimer that I got to make about Beer House is that this place is absolutely not open to the public. It's
Right.
a residential building. It's an apartment building. People actually live there. You know, you can't just walk up to this place or get a hold of them and buy a ticket. None of that. We just happen to know the owner of Abattoir from reviewing his haunt for the past couple of years. And we were asking him if any place in town was haunted, and he's like, "Yeah, this new house I just bought's haunted." So that's the only reason why we were able to get in there and even investigate it all. So that's just want to.
And we're very grateful that he let us in there because it was very cool.
Yeah, very nice.
Mm-hmm. And then after Abattoir, we were able to book Whispers Estate in Mitchell, Indiana, which we didn't know it, but it's like an hour from our house.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really cool to be able to stay out there until 7 o'clock in the morning and then just drive an hour home.
And supposedly it's one of the most haunted buildings, at least in the state, maybe the country.
Yeah. Well, and it's said to have demonic presences there. And they explained a lot of that to us, and we had watched a lot of other YouTube videos on Whispers. But luckily, excuse me, luckily while we were there, we didn't really see any demons, because they do have an actual demon there claimed by many that has horns. We did not see that. A lot of people get scratched or things thrown at them. That did not happen to us. Honestly, the night was pretty quiet, like in general. We were not they weren't communicating through the spirit box. They weren't communicating through the obelisk. They weren't communicating with like old school techniques such as tap 2 times for yes, you know. They weren't communicating like that hardly at all. But the video will be out sometime between now and August. We're going to give us a big gap there. And we probably got our best actual paranormal experiences captured there.
We got a really good capture of one of the doors opening by itself, which Whispers is kind of known for. And, you know, all night long we hadn't seen any doors opening, doing any weird things, nothing like that. And then later on in the night, we were going into this particular room to do a session, and we realized the door was open. Well, Nora did. We walked in there and didn't think anything about it. But yeah, like, holy crap, the door was open, and we knew before we started that we'd closed them all. So, and then we went back on the video footage and looked, and sure enough, we caught it opening all by itself. There's nobody touching the door. It shows the entire outside of the door beforehand, or at least shows the knob. And then after the door opens, you can see completely on the other side of the door inside, and that nobody was in there touching it.
And there's no door in there besides that door, because it's a basically an oversized closet.
Yeah.
So and you can watch in our film, like, we'll see how we can get it edited into the original or to the final video. But that door opens and stays open for over 4 hours, and you can see that none of us go in there or come back out.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping that we are able to like take it and fast forward the footage and show that. But we got 2 other crazy things there that were also caught on footage, but we don't want to spoil those because we want you to, you know, subscribe and watch that YouTube channel.
Watch the video.
Yeah, so Whispers Estate was the most recent investigation that we did, and then this Saturday we have the Asher Walton house booked in Indiana. It's actually like that next house over from Rose Hotel, for anybody that's familiar with that.
It's in Atlanta, Indiana.
Yeah, in Atlanta, Indiana.
A little north of Indianapolis, kind of, sort of, somewhat close-ish to kind of the Kokomo area.
Mm-hmm. And we get that building for 14 hours.
That's
so
a really long one. And
that's, yeah.
And of course, it's going to be like the coldest night of the week. So.
Yeah, it's going to be like 20 degrees, so.
It's heated, though, so we should be all right.
So we will be doing a full investigation with video of that one. And then coming up in April, we have Waverly Hills booked for an overnight. Cha-ching. Yeah, we were so excited about that one. We're doing that one with several paranormal groups.
We're going to be joined by Blood Moon Paranormal. And if you don't know who they are some actors and stuff from Evil Intentions Haunted House up in the Chicago area, up around Elgin. So that's a very cool haunted house. We're always excited to see them during the season whenever we're able to get up to Chicago.
Right.
But always one of our stops when we are in the area if they're open. So.
Afterlife Paranormal will be with us.
Yes.
Paul Lanner with Hunters Against Hate will be with us.
Happy birthday, Paul.
Mario and Nancy with Team White City Devils, which is the Scare Factor. They will be with us. And then there's there's some other groups of people. So that will be a fun investigation. And then in May, the weekend of Memorial Day, we will be going to Mansfield Prison for another overnight.
Also with Blood Moon and some of their other folks. So definitely looking forward to both of those. We're super excited about all the ones we've done so far. And I do mean it this time. We are going to wrap it up because we are approaching our destination and we got to get out of the car. So it's been great talking with you guys and catching up with you here on past season and what's got coming up for this year. So, yeah, we will see you on the next episode and at the next haunt. Until then, stay scary.
.com.
TheScareFactor.com. .com.